Hey, Zach, by the way, it's good to have you back on the podcast.
Yes, welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
You've been late to a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You've left a podcast early.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And you've just not shown up.
Hold on. I showed up. I was in Panama, though. Well, I
Yeah.
didn't show up.
Do you still get paid for that?
Like I said.
No.
Who gets paid for these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checks in the mail,
This
Bobby.
isn't Joe Rogan. This is not the Joe Rogan experience. There's no money.
Yeah, he
being
would
made
show
there.
up.
No, I don't know. I don't know if he would. We can try to invite him.
I heard a wild story this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, we were on the way to High Rise,
Uh-huh.
and Zach told me about how he ruined somebody's diploma.
Oh, yeah, he did.
It was great.
Yeah. We tried to find my diploma to cut. Like,
I don't know if you
for
guys
the
know it
cover.
or not, but when the back seat or the floorboard of your truck
Yeah.
is full of Baja Blast,
Oh, yeah.
things can get ruined.
Yeah. It's a miracle. I mean, it's...
Our producer, Zach Thomas, his face is in his hands right now.
Yeah.
That's right. We call him Bubby Wubby.
We did. We did not inform him that we would be talking about
Bubby
this
Wubbly
on
likes
the
Baja.
podcast today.
Bobby Wubby
Who keeps
and
their
Baja Blast.
diploma in the back seat floor of Zach's car?
That's a really good question.
What's that?
Who keeps a diploma in the back seat of Zach Thomas's car?
Who knows?
I think it was an accident.
Even better question was he planning to drink the Baja Blast in the floor
Maybe he was. Maybe he lays down on the floorboards and just
through a straw?
through a straw and just drinks it
Because
up.
he's stranded in a desert.
That's right. I love that he can't respond to this. This makes it even better.
He is shaking his head,
He
though.
is shaking his head. He is furious. Not as furious as the guy who has to get his diploma later today.
With a stain on it.
He will be even more furious.
Hope that wasn't for important reasons.
You know, I was trying to help him out, and we went to my house to look for.
I
We
heard
both
you
graduated
dug
from
through your
Liberty.
attic.
I dug through my attic. I went through my underneath my stairs, my little cupboard, like where Harry Potter slept. I went through there, couldn't find it. No diploma. I tried to bail him out, and I just no good, no bueno.
Yeah, that'll be an awkward conversation later. All right, so we have a special guest today.
We do. Bobby Medlin, welcome to the Unfiltered podcast. We are. Oh yes, a round of applause.
This looks better in real life than on camera.
That's great
Yeah.
news.
Really?
Who would have thought?
This looks awesome.
Maybe we should put you further from the camera. Maybe that's what he's saying.
Oh, maybe that's it. You guys always put me in the front and center, and you guys put me where they could see my stains from my grapefruit that I was eating earlier today.
Yeah, I've never experienced someone eating grapefruit the way you ate a grapefruit.
It was a tough scene.
It was rough. It was a rough go, but we made it.
This man was eating grapefruit sliced in half with a spoon and catapulting grapefruit across the office
So juicy.
as the tension finally had to be let go. And just all over his shirt in the office. And
Hide my stains.
probably got
So
a good-
embarrassing.
I've seen 2-year-olds make less mess on their birthday.
Yeah, that's. You're not wrong. It was a massacre in there. Anyway, we're not here to talk about grapefruits or my attendance here on the podcast. We are here to
That's
talk
low.
to Bobby Medlin about missions here at Freshwater. Bobby, we're glad you're here today. Why don't you kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Where'd you grow up, Bobby?
Oh, grew up in Montauk County over by California, Latham, Missouri.
Have you lived in the same area pretty much your whole life?
I really have. I was born at Fort Hood. My dad was in the military. He was at the Cuban Missile Crisis, ready to head out, and
wow.
got
Dang.
to meet John F. Kennedy. My
That's
dad ran a dozer,
pretty cool.
and John Kennedy stopped and put his foot up on the tracks and inspected the dozer.
Oh.
And my dad had a rifle and had to salute the whole time, not move.
There's not many people that can say they met John F.
Yeah,
Kennedy.
and so
That's
so
pretty
we
cool,
lived just
actually.
out in the country by California.
the second time you said John F. Kennedy, I thought you said John Candy. And so,
John Candy.
Yeah, those
well,
are two
Different
different
guy.
people.
Quite
Gotcha.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
One
also
far
never
more
played
impressive than the other. Yeah.
All right.
Wow. So they should have Bobby Medlin's dad in history books.
I mean,
He
what
is
a picture that
yeah.
would
That would
been.
make a perfect picture in a history book.
Would.
Yeah.
Well, and probably no picture of it though.
Yeah.
So you live on a farm in Montauk County. How old were you when you moved to Montauk County?
About 10 months old.
Oh, so you've
Yeah,
literally been here
my
your whole
dad.
life.
We'd lived a quarter of a mile from my grandparents, so Dad was just away at the Army, and we came back.
Gotcha.
So, and I only moved 3 miles away when I got married, so not far.
The radius
Yeah.
is small.
Yeah.
So I was at Luke Sumner's house last night, and I was telling him over on Highway T. You've been out there. there's a bridge, and there used to be twin bridges out there, and they were the big bridges with the metal overhead and the wooden planks. And when I was really, really little, my grandpa took us over there for some reason, and we got to go across these two bridges, two right in a row. And it was a big deal. It was like we went way to the end of the earth to go from Latham to Russellville. That's how it felt. I told Luke that
That was
last
like
night.
a vacation.
Yeah, I was like, I've never been this far from home. I was probably 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
What is this
Yeah.
new world?
And
Russellville, Missouri.
And just think, here in a minute, we're going to talk about going thousands of miles from your home, Bobby.
No kidding, yeah.
So what did church life look like when you were a kid?
Yeah, so we lived about a mile from Pilot Grove Baptist Church.
Okay.
And when I was really young, we didn't go, but some folks that attended there kept inviting us, and so my brother and I went to Bible school every year. And after a couple years of that, we started going to Sunday school and church. So that's where I grew up, was Pilot Grove Baptist Church. Yeah. So I remember Bible school. I think the first Bible school I went to, I broke my leg. Piggyback rides. Yeah.
Really?
David Alley.
They're violent.
Carrying me tripped. Someone tripped him, and I broke my leg. So here all summer, just got out of school for this, and then I was in a cast all summer. And my dad had got me a bicycle. He was going to give it to me at the end of Bible school.
Yeah.
I couldn't ride it
Nope.
because I was in a cast all summer.
All summer long.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
It's
then-
impressive you kept going to church.
Well, wait till you hear this. One of the next Bible schools, I got bitten by a black snake at Bible school.
Some people would take
I
that
know,
as signs
I
not
know,
to go
yeah,
back to
yeah.
church.
Now, I got bitten on the shoe, but there was blood on my shoe. I guess the snake bled. I don't know. It wasn't my blood, but I remember
Or one of
kind
its
of latching on with his fangs. Of course, we had a stick messing with it, and I
Oh,
used
it
my
was not
foot.
unprovoked.
Backstory.
Oh yeah, I
Good.
used my foot as a stick. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you like snakes, Bobby?
No,
Oh.
not particularly.
it was a black snake. So
It was a
it wasn't
black snake.
poisonous.
It is. All snakes are evil snakes. I mean, all.
No, black snakes
Oh.
catch mice and
Mice.
That's
all
fine.
that, yeah.
Also caught your boot. I mean, that's terrible.
It did try to get kicked by it.
Well, they're playing with it with the stick. I would never play with a snake.
My kids
Ever.
were trying to catch one the other day underneath the shed.
Zach, you won't bait your hook with a worm, so why would you play with a snake?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think worms are just mini snakes that have no teeth.
Well, that was you in the message that won't touch a worm, won't touch a fish.
That's right.
That
Yes.
was you. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, he ruined all of his own
Don't touch
grandfather's
a pie, though.
dreams.
I'll tell you that.
Poor grandpa.
Cheesecake in a Walmart parking lot.
You
I
know-
do like cheesecake.
You know, grandpas have granddaughters that do more than that with fish.
I mean, that's Bobby. There's so much truth in that statement. So much truth. I mean, he had some tomboy daughters and everything, and I know that I ranked so much lower on the totem pole than them.
Yeah, you were more like a boy named Sue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So it was, that was my childhood, and I'm glad we can make fun of it,
Musicians before they were popular.
and also my high school years. So it's fine.
Wow. So when did your faith become like most powerful in your life?
Like my own, it was at Bible school. I think the program was on a Friday night, and I felt convicted, but I didn't go forward or anything. I'm not even sure there was an invitation, at the Bible school program. But that Sunday morning, I felt it again, and I went forward and accepted Jesus, and then I think the next week I was baptized. And at
Awesome.
Pilot Grove Baptist Church, the baptistry is right behind the pulpit.
Yeah.
And it's got the glass, the old.
Yeah.
And I remember going in there, and the water was to my nose. I mean, I had to tiptoe to be able to breathe. So there wasn't much
You
to
got baptized
dunk
before
in.
they dunked you.
No, I was already there.
How old were you about?
12 or 13.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. So it was a little bit later then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely understood like the gravity of your decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember in grade school, I had some friends that were already saved, and so that helped too.
Oh, yeah.
Just seeing them, the change in them, and knowing what, hear about it from them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the message, but so it was kind of led up to that.
So you grow up, you go to college, and what do you do for a living, business that you've built?
Well, I used to tell everyone I was a farmer because it really was. I farmed about 33 years
wow.
on my own farm.
Yeah.
And now I rent that out. But in the meantime, I'm an accountant. So CPA practice.
So you were an accountant so that you could be a farmer.
There you go. And I needed
I
a
know how that
tax
goes.
deduction in farming, so made those tractors tax deductible and
There
all
you
that.
go.
Right.
And
Wise.
I just finished my 40th tax season, so I've got 33 crops and 40 tax seasons. So that's, I don't know, about 7 years I haven't farmed. Out
Wow.
of that.
Yeah.
What do you love about farming? I'm super interested in farming.
Drew loves farming.
Well, we still live there, and I've got a really awesome client friend that rents it. And what I really like is he plants straight rows. And when I planted them, I would look, and they would be a little crooked. And then I had to look at them all summer, and I knew that I planted them. But I like the straight, yeah.
Very pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, I just like, working the soil and planting the seed and watching it grow. Just, you don't see much change, but then within a couple of months, it's totally different.
And aren't you involved in cattle somehow? With
Yeah, I've had cattle. My parents have cattle, and I help with them occasionally. I used to help more, but when they traveled some, but they're past their traveling age. They only go for 2 or 3 days now. It's not like all winter like it used to be.
Yeah.
40 tax seasons is a lot.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
How much has it changed in 40 years?
Well, when I started, the boss had one computer and it had 2 floppy disks. I used pencil and paper. There was no internet, no fax machines, no cell phones. I mean, that was 1985.
Oh, take me back.
Totally different world. Yeah. And now we just got AI in our tax research.
Less or more stressful?
Probably a little more now. It was simpler back then. Yeah, I had a call with our tax research rep yesterday, and he showed the new AI features, and they have Joe Biden's tax return because it's public knowledge, and you can load it in there, and it gives you a report of tax saving opportunities based on his tax return, and it gives you a nice report.
That's
and,
crazy.
Yeah.
I use AI a lot.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
It's definitely the way of the future.
Actually, AI is just in the last 1 year or less has really just came on the scene. It wasn't very good until last year or so.
Yeah.
But can you think that's a lot of difference between having a paper with an eraser,
Oh, yeah.
that had to rewrite, and then when you erase too many times, you had to get a new form and just start over.
Goodness.
And then now it's just generated for you. You still got to check it out, but it's a lot different.
So when I think of your life, I see going to Russellville, Missouri is, we've left the United States. And
It's a trip.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
you
Furthest he's been
live, you
remote.
live 3 miles from where you grew up. You're an accountant. And most of the time, if you told me all those things, I'd go, there's no way this dude is going on international mission trips. So what is it? What was the transition? What was it, a trip? What was it that caused you to start to fall in love with international mission?
Well, there was one thing that it really didn't cause it. In 2000, I was at High Point Baptist Church then.
Okay.
As when I came back from college, and we had children, they went to daycare and Sunday school there, and so we became members there. We went to Nicaragua in 2012, guys, and built houses. I actually found out Kenny Shaw went on the same trip. I didn't even know Kenny at the time.
Small world.
Yeah, he wasn't on the same week as us, but he went
Yeah.
to the same place, same missionaries, Art and Dottie Dennis. Remember him well. But nothing ever, there was nothing from that. We just went and we built houses, okay? So that was it. We didn't share the gospel. There was a hurricane that it went through. And so fast forward to 2021, David Ford, who's been a career missionary and retired pastor, he just approached me and said, I think that I want to talk to you about international missions. Would you like to know more? And okay, I sure. I had coffee, lunch, whatever. And David got to talking about sharing the gospel around the world and how, Freshwater was wanting to get some traction there right after COVID and all. And I just felt led and convicted by that to say, I'll go. I'll go. And leading up to going that first time to Panama was so much unknown. Didn't know, I like to do new things and all that, but it was kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
Didn't know if I was going to like it. I didn't know if it's safe. I'm going to get sick.
Oh, yeah.
It was none of those. It's just beautiful. So that going on that trip really changed how my desire to do more missions. Just getting there. the interpreters were awesome. They love Jesus. They know the culture. They help you say, hey, let's go talk to this guy. Let's talk to this couple. And just conversations like this, you know. Yeah. I went to a family's house yesterday. I went to 2 families' houses yesterday. One couple, they go to church here, and the other one not, and just sat at the table and talked with them for different reasons. And it's that way on the trip. And they want it. They want to know about Jesus. They haven't necessarily been told about Jesus. Zach, you went. You know? And so from that point on, said, I really want to help others experience this and grow. It changed me. It didn't just help the people in Panama or wherever I went. It really changed me, changed my desire to have compassion for other people that either don't know Jesus or, you know, maybe just don't know him in the way that they could.
Yeah. And what year was that? What year did you first go down to Panama then?
2023. March 2023.
So approaching 21, and then the trip got everything kind of working and all that stuff. And then 23 is the first year we went down to Panama.
That's right. Went twice to Panama. I went back as the leader of a second trip.
That's right.
And then 2 people on that trip became leaders on future trips. So we can get into that later, but it is an opportunity to grow leaders too. Not just to share the gospel and go and experience. It's a good way to grow.
I think a lot of people share that similar story where they went on a trip and they were changed. Like there's some sort of something happened. So like, why is that? I mean, that was true for me. I went to China, and I mean, you just went to Panama. You came back fired up. You went to Mexico. You came back swollen, but yet, well, I was just.
Wow.
Robert caught a cold. That's what I remember.
I came back sick.
Yeah.
I came back really sick.
Robert came back so sick. Gosh, you caught me off guard on that one. That was good. You were swollen, but you're better now.
Yeah, just, I got heart issues and lupus and EDS and celiac, and this guy's over making fun of me. Dying.
It's all right.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
It's all good. All of a sudden, now he's got things stand.
Listen to the last podcast if you want to hear some depressing stuff.
Yeah.
So what is it about the new, like just going on a trip, what does that do for somebody? Like, why is that a commonality? What is that? What's going on a trip do for people? How does it excite them?
You know, we usually start each of our meetings for prepping for a mission trip with some scripture. Yeah. And the scripture is, you're familiar with the harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few. But if you back up to the last scripture in the chapter before that, it says Jesus looked upon the people and had compassion for them. And I really believe that whenever I went on the trip, that just the personal connection with the people living there, that were receptive. You know, they want to hear. They're willing to let you pray with them and let you share what Jesus has done in your life and you know why we're there. That just creates a compassion for those people, and having that is hard to not get fired up. You know, just to feel that way.
I feel like the Panama trip is very different. So when you went to Nicaragua, you were building houses. In Panama, you were more relational building.
Exactly.
Which I think that was the big difference, because I think for a long time, that's what people maybe sometimes have in their mind of missions, is we're going to go and do projects. We're going to do projects, which I think there's a time and place for all of those things. But I remember some trips, like, you know, when I was in high school and some people went on some mission trips and everything, they came back and like, we built houses and we cared for people. We did VBSs, kind of those things. But there wasn't a whole lot of people who were like, man, we got to go and share the gospel. And in Panama, like every day you have opportunities to share the gospel, and they're pushing you to go and share the gospel with a translator to then go and communicate with people. And it is really cool, and it definitely pushes people out of their comfort zone. It's easy to go and I think do the house side of things, but to go and actually share and witness to people, it is life-changing. I really do believe that. So which I would strong component of going to Panama. Everyone should go.
It's really hard to hide in the bushes too. You can't really do the Homer Simpson where you back into
No.
the bushes
That's right.
in Panama because
Please
they're
throw that
like,
meme up right now.
yeah, you're gonna get right here and
Yeah.
and participate. You know, the first day or two you might kind of stay in the background.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if you're thinking about going on a mission trip, be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
because you're gonna get engaged and involved. Definitely.
Which you guys do a lot to help people get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so what's that look like, Bobby, to get someone ready to go on a mission trip that's never gone before, like Panama?
Yeah. So the team that's going in August is the 6th team for Panama. So we're
That's
calling
awesome.
it's Team 6. You
Team
know,
6.
They're the Navy
Yeah.
SEALs.
SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
SEAL Team 6. I like that.
By
That's
the
good.
way, I know a man that his son was on Team 6. He lives not too far from here.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And he went in and got Osama bin Laden. So,
Dang.
yeah, awesome.
Bobby,
Very.
is there people that you don't know?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So your dad's met
JFK.
JFK, you know, someone on SEAL Team 6.
That's pretty cool.
I'm not making Bobby angry.
Yeah. Now, what was the question? I forgot.
What's the training look like?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, the training.
someone's
Yeah,
never been on a
yeah,
trip.
yeah.
They're going to Panama.
So the reason I brought up Team 6 is we do have a process. David really helped with. He threw me so many materials,
Oh, yeah.
and I took them and he's helped me by reviewing them, but got him down to kind of a little bit of a process. And the first meeting is really it's more of what to expect,
Yep.
how to get prepared, you know, things you need to bring, stuff you got to fill out. You got to do some online training, stuff like that. But the second, third, fourth meeting, it's more you're working on the relational. We share our testimony together as a group, going, and then we pair off one to one, 2 to 1, and share the gospel. You know, practice doing
Yeah.
that and praying with people and each other. And
Yep.
so it's kind of practicing, you know, knowing
Oh, yeah.
that that's what you're going to do. And Robert, I know I'm thinking forward to Oaxaca. That's going to be our partnership with Freshwater and a church on the outskirts of Oaxaca. There is a lot of work to do there. It's going to be hard work,
A lot of work.
a lot of work. But I had a meeting last night with someone that's considering going, and the work there is multifold.
Yeah.
The people there, the leaders in that area, in that church, they're going to need some training up.
Yeah.
They're going to need some discipling and mentoring and developing leaders there. But they also are wanting to plant a church in that area, nearby. You know,
Yeah.
it's out. And there's that kind of circles back to what you do in Panama. You get out in the community, connect with the school,
Yeah.
connect with new residents that are there. It's actually a new community.
Yeah.
It's a subdivision that's got a few houses, but not very many.
Yeah.
So they'll be walking on the street, going door to door, working in a school. So it's almost, to me, it's almost like in Panama, you get that first exposure. You can learn to become a leader, and it's more about just sharing the gospel and getting a heart for that, getting on fire for it, Drew, because it happens. It's not just me; it's other people that have went. They just love to tell about it. And then going to Nicaragua in 2000 to build, you know, actually hands-on, get your hands dirty, get tired, you know, bleed, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because we did.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I
I'm
was
sure
on
you
a
did.
roof up
Yeah.
there. I was the smallest one, so I had to climb out on the roof and nail
Gosh.
the nails with the little, I don't know.
The orange thing on it?
Yeah, and the roof was springy, bouncy, so they would all bounce, and I would hit my finger and
Oh.
all that. But anyway, I think Oaxaca is going to be a combination of that.
Yeah.
It's going to be getting in there, doing really hard work. It's out. It's in a remote area.
Yeah.
But there are people there.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the people.
That's right.
And knowing, you know, that they need Jesus. So it's really brings together maybe the two things that I've experienced, the two places
Yeah.
that I've went on mission trips.
Yeah.
It's not, so if you've been on a trip before, Oaxaca's fine for you to go. It's going to be a easy travel, hard work.
Yeah,
Hard work.
That's good.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of things they've talked about VBSs in that school that is there in the area they want to plant a church, leadership development, medical missions, construction missions. I mean, it's like almost limitless, isn't it, Bobby?
Yeah, I've got a kind of a laundry list or bullet point list. And it's like 20 long of just
Wow.
ideas.
That's
And,
awesome.
so this first trip in October is going to be to kind of lay down some roots there and connect to the leaders.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
at the same time, do some kind of event or some kind of project, get in school to connect with that community. So a little bit of both. And we're going to find out then what the real work's going to, the harder work's going to be. and go from there.
And then they have opportunities for like other levels of development in terms of like apprentices. And so there's people that could potentially in the long term, if you've got like retirement age people that want to spend a few months in the summer and go there, like John, a guy that hopefully our church gets to meet sometime does, or summer missionaries with students, or they've even talked about needing full-time missionaries there. And so hopefully at some point Freshwater can say
there are opportunities for different lengths of service. It's like anywhere from a short-term trip for a week to 3 to 4 weeks to 2 to 3 months to up like to 2 years. Of course, you could always become a career missionary too.
Yeah.
But, and by the way, the coffee's really good in Oaxaca.
Yes, it is.
Very good.
All right, I'm excited.
I
I'm
brought
going.
raw beans and roasted them.
I like the Panama coffee. I thought the Panama coffee was delicious too.
That's what I'm drinking today.
Everywhere you went, it was espressos or, their lattes. And
I didn't realize you have
delicious.
your whole coffee pot here for this
Oh, yeah.
this podcast.
I've discovered that these things are so long because you all don't stop talking
Us are the ones that stop talking. That's right.
that I need more than one of my black cups of coffee filled up.
Well, there you go. There you go.
That you were
That's
going
true.
to say something.
I was just going to say, how long is the partnership with Oaxaca? We there for
10 years.
10 years? Did we say anything?
Forever.
Yeah, 3 to 6 was
3 to 6.
what was thrown around, but
Gotcha.
at least a 3-year
I
commitment.
like that.
At least
You know.
3-year commitment.
I like the idea that our church is partnering with the goal of planting a church and doing everything we can to help that church plant globally. It's just really good.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah. I really like that David really talked to me a lot about multiplication. Well, because addition and I'm an accountant. Multiplication is way more powerful than addition.
Yeah.
And when you go and you develop people from Freshwater, not everyone's going to become a missionary or go back, but a lot will. But when they come back and they share what's happening, what they see, what the needs are, that multiplies. So not only your multiplicators, but multiplying, the people that will go.
Oh,
I think with this trip to Oaxaca, Robert, what are the numbers? Maybe 42 people from Freshwater will have went on an international trip in the last 2.5 years.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's 42 or I think 44 was the final count.
Okay.
Yep. If you get all the slots filled for Oaxaca, it'll be 44. And then once you start bringing in some other missions, there's like 414 people that we've put in a mission scenario from local to international in the last 2.5 years.
that's awesome. That is
really
such a good number.
I wanted to say real quickly for those that are listening that maybe don't know what the difference. Sometimes we talk about addition versus multiplication, and so Bobby, in terms of someone who's never heard that kind of language before, what is the difference there? Why does it matter that we're trying to do multiplication rather than just doing addition?
Yeah, if you do addition, I think you maybe are only just adding to the people that have went and stayed at one level. And multiplication, when you go as a leader, and then you have the perspective that you're also training up the next leader that's going to go. So if you're a leader and you lead a team of 10, for example, and then one of those 10 becomes a leader, and they lead a team of 10, now there's 2 of you leading a team of 10, and that's 20 instead of 2.
That's right.
Right? That's the difference. That's a big difference, 2 to 20.
Yeah.
My math may not be perfect, but
raising
you get
up
the point.
leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's true across, all components of church. That sometimes churches just view it as, we just count the one person that walks through a door, rather than saying, okay, how do I teach our people to not just come and receive something, but to engage in the lives of other people? So instead of just having 300 people, if you make half of them into people who disciple other people, then you really might have, it starts to be thousands. The numbers.
And in a recent message, you from the pulpit talked about how when you're gone, what are you doing to invest in that will be here after you're gone? And if you're doing addition, it's not very much.
Yes.
When you're gone, it kind of leaves a
that's
void.
right.
Yeah. That's good, Bobby.
Yeah, that's great. I know everyone that I've came back and talked to, Bobby, has been, Panama was awesome, and you can go. Like, you can go. So everyone that asked me about it, that's my ending stick with them is going, anyone can go. You should go. It's going to be great. So
Panama even has, when you're going, every day there's opportunities for kind of different levels. Like if you're going to walk up the mountain road to pray in a neighborhood, if you want to be the one that walks at the lowest level of that, if you want to be the one that gets the furthest up the mountain, then you're group 3.
that's
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
I went furthest up the mountain. They said, who wants to go furthest up the mountain? I just started walking, which was just really cool. We got poured on when we got up there, but we prayed and sang some worship songs together with our translators and just prayed for that community that we got to kind of just look out and see from our post there on the mountain.
So to go along with my Bible school accidents, on the first trip to Panama, there were students from Georgia, and their student union pastor was there too. And I went the furthest group, and there's this little creek, and the water's clear in Panama. It's not muddy. It's like awesome. It's like, this is clear. It looks like you could drink it, but I probably wouldn't.
Don't drink the water.
So I decided to cross further, and I went on a rock that was slick and I fell and went under a barbed wire fence and cut my arm and got wet. And they had to pick me up and pull me out. And so there you go. I'm kind of a klutz. Yeah. I should have the name Clunt instead of you.
That's right. Klutz, I like that. I like that. But I do want to just say on that Panama trip, like, you get to learn a wide variety of different missionary tactics too. Like, you do just so many different things on that trip that I think a lot of people can learn a ton from. I know I did. So it's a really good trip.
Can you share a story that's kind of how you saw God work in a mighty way, or see someone get saved, or a great conversation you might have had, or a way that you ministered to somebody? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I think one thing that really stuck in my memory is we were at bus stops. Okay, so we were going to ride the buses down from where the workers are.
That's right.
But for some reason, the schedule was messed up, and the buses weren't coming. So we just got on a bus. It was kind of crowded. So we get down. We decided we'll go to the bus stops down in town. Nice. And it was raining and stuff. So we sat in this bus stop, and there was a young man there and his wife. And they were by themselves, and the interpreter and I talked to him, and they'd been to Panama City, and that was a 6-7 hour trip. And they had been to Panama City in the past, but they had a child that had a kidney disease when he was born. And he says, well, I don't remember the boy's name, but he told the name, and the doctors didn't think he would survive, but he had, and he was 3 or 4. Says, well, would you like us to pray for him? Sure. And he said, well, before we prayed, we asked, do you have a relationship with Jesus? Well, I got, I'm part of a church, there was a certain denomination. Well, I don't really go, Well, have they helped you through this? No. I really felt alone, really. It just came down. So we prayed, and I said, it's 6 o'clock. It's the same time zone there at that time of year. It may change different times of year. Our life group is now, meeting at 6 o'clock back home. Yeah. And so I told the guy, I said, I'm going to text them, and there's 12 or 14 people, and they're going to be praying for your son too. Yeah. So I did, I texted and showed him, and they said, sure, we'll pray for him. And he had tear coming, after we prayed, and just to, have someone that cared about him, cared that he knew Jesus. And he says, yeah, I'm a believer, but he's just not really a part of a community. Yeah. So that was one thing that stuck.
Very meaningful.
Out. Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think it's interesting that, right now there's kind of 2 opportunities for missions in terms of like Freshwater, our church, being able to go to Panama as an entry level. You've never done it before. It's taken care of from start to finish, from flights to your travel, to your food, to your housing. To Oaxaca, being a little more open in the sense that we kind of get to design mission trips around the giftings and abilities of our people that are going to work best for what they're trying to accomplish. But it's interesting in Oaxaca that even though it's the next level of hard in terms of mission trips, what's expected of us and just the organic nature of what we'll be doing, I thought it was interesting that they said it's one of two places that they have, the IMB has missionaries where they actually encourage you to bring your littles, your kids. And so when they do VBSs and stuff, they actually like it when the families bring their children because it is safe. And I can say when we were there that I never felt unsafe in Oaxaca when we were even in the middle of the city and downtown in the marketplace and out to restaurants and things like that. So it was good. So Bobby, what's the overall, goal, vision for the missions? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the purpose?
I think, there really are multiple purposes, but one of them is to create opportunities for freshwater partners now and in the future to be able to be sent as missionaries, for God to lead them to the missionary field, whether it's local, national, international. Not every church has that opportunity. I mean, there's limited resources and lots of opportunities, but to provide that structure and that opportunity, that's one thing to make Freshwater continue as a sending church. And from that, I believe that a longer-term mission or goal is to actually have Freshwater send career missionaries.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Freshwater is teaching pastors, and there's a goal to have a certain number of pastors come out of Freshwater, and
that's right.
But our goal is to the people that career missionaries come from somewhere.
That's right.
And need to come from a sound church, and so just to let people catch that fire and be called to the field and have a church body that supports them and backs them in doing so. It's also to continue to provide opportunities to go further. I think going up the scale of difficulty is, I think it's important for Freshwater to not coast and to not just take these. It's not, it's fun. It's fun to go. It's hard work sometimes. Panama's so structured, you get tired.
It's very structured.
You get food. You get all the food. I mean, you're pampered in a way, but you're away from home, and it's not the same standard of living at all. But you don't really care. You're not there to be pampered or have a vacation.
It felt like a great intro trip. Like it was a great intro into missions to make you want to go on the next one. So,
we're taking you to the jungle next.
Let's go, baby.
Snakes and spiders. And
oh gosh!
As long as I get a machete, I'll be fine.
Amazon, Peru.
Let's go. I tell you what, listening to...
You won't even go into the woods for your disc.
Well, no, I'll go with... I mean, I'll have other people go before me. I'm not, leading the charge.
Send the children in first.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They're allowed. But that was a really cool part about talking to Adam, who's the missionary down there, and him and his family. It's crazy. The story that they have is wild.
Well, and in a way, there's a goal for Freshwater, and we don't have it written out as a goal. Maybe we should, but there'll be places we go that we can't sit here and talk about.
That's right.
Yeah, we won't be able to name the names of where the places are going. We can talk about that we're going places.
Yeah.
Cannot say where we're going.
That's right.
And as someone that's a Freshwater partner, where I've gotten introduced to international missions, and now for the last 2.5 years. I've been connected with and basically introduced to people that are in those areas more than I ever thought I would be.
That's right.
And not yet on a very deep level, but they're out there.
Oh yeah,
there are people connected. And Drew, you've been I don't know how long you were on the mission field, but you've been.
Yeah, was there for a whole summer.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Yeah.
I know multiple people overseas and in those hard areas that we're talking about that they can't be known, but
what's freshwater need to keep at the forefront to be positioned to have people that can do that, to go to places like that for a summer or a couple years or career?
Yeah. I think taking the gospel seriously here is a good start. And man, it's cool to hear what you said. Like, there could be career missionaries in our church right now, that are being raised up, and the Lord's just working on them right now. And as far as what needs to happen for our church to be positioned to go to those hard to reach places, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think a lot of it's just opportunity, like
Yeah.
providing the opportunity for people to get their feet wet, like in Panama, to then want to go to Oaxaca and then go to the next levels. Like, you're going to find the people that want to do that. I mean, guy just went on Panama trips, like ready to like quit his job and go and do this already. Like, he wants to go do that. He feels the Lord is calling him to do that. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Let
equip
the Holy
him,
Spirit do his thing.
let the Holy Spirit move, and just continue to be faithful and give the opportunities that we can.
That's good.
I love it because it fits into some of the things we've been talking about in terms of just like this last Sunday, I preached a sermon on, what's it look like for Freshwater to be impacting communities and the world 30 years from now at an even greater level than we are today, which is the multiplication idea of we had, celebrated 3 baptisms Sunday, 4 the Sunday before, 3 more this week. I think most of us would agree, like, what better joy would it be than to be able to, either be in the last parts of our life here on earth or maybe even be watching from heaven as God does more with the next generation than he's doing with ours.
That's right.
And so even the missions part kind of fits in with some of what we've been talking about with, which is kind of new. I briefly mentioned it in the sermon on Sunday, but what would it look like for Freshwater to reach 5% of mid-Missouri with the gospel and to plant and revitalize 100 churches the next 30 years? And Oaxaca would be, one of those if we help them get a church off the ground, which requires 100, people that want to go pastor a church or be missionary. So
That's right.
it's all working together to leave a legacy of the gospel advancing.
And Drew, I'm one that likes to think like Robert, where 30 years from now, how would it look and all that? But then you got to bring that back. What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do we do now? And so this next trip to Panama is August 1st to 8th, and there are 8 people on
Yeah,
it.
that's awesome.
Okay, so we're getting tickets bought, and they've already started their online training, and they had their first meeting where we went through those 17 items.
Love that.
And one of those items is sharing the gospel, and we've got some things they can practice with, and all. And then the trip to Oaxaca is next, and that's going to be used as a springboard to get this partnership going with the church. The pastor there is Cesar, and his wife is Lola. Cesar's a welder by trade, so he makes things to sell.
Cool dude.
Yeah, he doesn't like work for someone else. He just makes things, or he gets a job to build these things, and then he's done, and then he does another thing.
Yeah.
So kind of like a tent maker.
Which there's spots open on that trip, is there not?
There's spots open on the trip, 3 or 4 open. We got a little wiggle room there. We need to get names no later than July 8th.
Okay.
And what we need right now, I'd really like to find someone that could go to lead something for kids. Like, so somebody that's awesome with kids. Drew, you're going. You might be that person. But if we had someone that
In
could
October?
say, in October. Yeah.
It'll be a boot camp.
Yeah. So, but someone to lead a block party,
said
a
awesome,
couple
yeah.
evenings,
Yeah.
events, whatever. And then Zach Thomas, you're over here. You did a really awesome job of videoing, other than the fuzzy camera on the one day. But
It was a little fuzzy, Bobby. It was really hard to see what was happening.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
really.
It was very
yeah,
blurry.
yeah.
didn't he?
So, but anyway, we need someone.
awesome.
Zach, can we borrow your equipment? We need someone to take that and go along to document some of it.
Yeah.
Someone better than him. We've got a girl for you. Her name's Bree, and she'd love to go.
Yeah, she would.
So that's where we're at. We've got the guy that went to Panama wants to quit his job. He says he's going to Oaxaca.
Oh,
We're
he's
just
going to Oaxaca.
He's going. Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean,
And
he just
so-
got back.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. David's going to go, and we're gonna work with the leadership there to find out who needs discipled, who wants, whether it's the pastor, elders, however they're structured.
That's awesome.
And of course the missionaries are there, Jeff and Lisa Holman. And since we were there in January, they have 2 couples and then a single person that's now being moved into Oaxaca as missionaries.
Awesome.
And
So good.
Jeff sent a link 2 days ago of all the activity that's happened in the last couple months over there.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. There's several churches, and Oaxaca's big. And what's 750,000? Does that sound right? Is it more than that?
It's I think it's 700,000 plus, and it grows by like 60,000 people per year.
Dang.
So they're
crazy.
Yeah. So they're involved. They're connected with several churches there, and they didn't even name out the church we're connected with in the activity because we haven't been there, and there's stuff kind of going on to prepare for that trip. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so I'd say if you're watching this and you're from Freshwater, then get plugged into missions. If you love kids and you'd love to maybe help plan something, get with Bobby and sign up. Yep. If you're watching this and you're from another church, get plugged in whatever missions your church has. There's few ways. God didn't design it for us just to come to church and never exit the walls and advance the gospel beyond our location. And so whether that means going on an international trip, going to somewhere like Galena where we're going this summer, local missions, get involved in your church advancing the gospel outside of your Sunday morning gathering. It's essential to your growth as a Christian and God's use for you in the kingdom. So,
Amen.
Bobby, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to?
Well, you talk about the littles. I remember now that you mentioned the national and local, I remember last summer that when the team came back from Kentucky, there was a youth that just fired up. I mean, that's all I was a substitute teaching it, and he was my helper, and that's all he wanted to talk about, and he still is.
That's awesome.
So don't think that it has to be you alone, on these trips. You can take family with you. You can, take an older child. You obviously don't want to take someone that will take your focus away from the ministry at hand. Yeah, you don't want to spend all your time chasing your kids whenever they need to be coming alongside you and working. So only, families can determine whether it's who's appropriate to take. But, it can be, a family thing. You never know how big of an impact that will have on your younger people, And so if anyone wants to talk to me about, okay, been an accountant for 40 years, and you could do that, or you could maybe enter the mission field. I can tell you the differences.
Praise the Lord.
I love that.
It's good, man.
And you have an excuse for missing meetings and podcasts. And
Thank you, Bob.
If you're on a mission field.
That's right. I'm on a mission trip, Steve, so I can miss that one. Thanks, Bobby.
Wow. So 33% of the time you have an excuse.
Yeah. That's a good stat.
As an accountant, he'd tell you that's low.
Yeah. Is that low?
If he was if 33% of his tax returns were done correctly, he would not be in business.
Nope. No, he would not.
So at the office, we have this running thing. We should have written a book, but there's a hallway with some workers in it. And, and whenever someone's like, I got to run and get someone off the bus or something happened, it's like, oh, put that one in the book. That's a new one, the dog ate the carpet. So I got to go home and go, okay. So you got a new one. I was gone. I was gone.
Went to Panama,
You were still on the podcast in spirit.
Yeah, you guys roasted me.
Talked a lot about you.
Yeah, just roasted me.
Yeah. At least you didn't ruin a diploma. All right.
That's right. Congratulations. Hey, this has been the filth.
Oh, yes.
That's the filth that's on the diploma. This is the Faith Unfiltered podcast. We'll see you next time.